My grandson and I have this little routine. Every weekend, I pick him up and we go on an adventure. Sometimes it's the park, sometimes it's the museum, but our favorite spot is this little ice cream shop by the lake. Last Saturday, the sun was shining, the birds were singing. It was one of those perfect days. We got our usual, a scoop of chocolate for him and vanilla for me, and found a bench overlooking the water. He was swinging his legs, humming to himself, when he suddenly stopped and looked up at me with those big, curious eyes. He asked, "Grandpa, are you happy?" It was such a simple question, right? 4 little words. But in that moment, it felt like the most profound question anyone had ever asked me. I opened my mouth to give the easy answer, the one you're supposed to give. Of course I am. But the words got stuck. I just looked at him and then out at the sparkling lake, and I found myself thinking. Was I happy? It's a funny thing, happiness. When you're young, you think it's this big, flashy prize you have to win. You chase after the perfect job, the bigger house, the faster car. You think happiness is a destination, a finish line you cross where everything is suddenly perfect. I spent decades on that treadmill, always reaching for the next thing, convinced that true happiness was just around the corner. I got the promotions, I bought the house, I raised a family. I checked all the boxes I thought I was supposed to check. And don't get me wrong, there were countless happy moments along the way. I remember the day my daughter was born, holding her tiny hand and feeling a love so immense it almost hurt. I remember our family vacations, crammed into the station wagon, singing off-key to the radio. I remember anniversaries, graduations, and holidays filled with laughter and chaos. Those were definitely happy moments, but were they happiness itself? Or were they just bright sparks in the long, winding road of life? As I got older, my perspective started to shift. The frantic chase began to slow down. The things that once seemed so important, the titles, the possessions, started to feel less significant. I retired, and suddenly my days weren't structured by meetings and deadlines anymore. At first, it was unsettling. I felt a bit lost, like a ship without a rudder. Who was I without my career? What was my purpose? That's when I started to rediscover the small things. The warmth of the morning sun on my face. The smell of coffee brewing. The satisfaction of tending to my garden and watching something grow from a tiny seed. I started noticing the intricate patterns on a leaf, the sound of rain against the window pane, the shared smile with a stranger at the grocery store. These weren't grand, earth-shattering events. They were quiet, simple, and utterly beautiful. And that's what I was thinking about, sitting on that bench with my grandson. I thought about the life I'd lived, the triumphs, the failures, the joy, the sorrow. I thought about all the people I'd loved, some who are still with me and some who are not. I thought about the mistakes I'd made and the lessons I'd learned. It hasn't been a perfect life, not by a long shot. There have been times of deep sadness, worry, and regret. There were roads not taken and words left unsaid. But as I sat there with the taste of vanilla ice cream on my tongue and the weight of my grandson's small hand in mine, I realized something. Happiness isn't a destination you arrive at. It's not a prize you win or a box you check. It's not about having a life free from problems or pain. Maybe happiness is something quieter. Maybe it's the ability to find peace right where you are. It's the peace that comes from accepting your life, with all its beautiful imperfections. It's the gratitude for the journey, not just the destination. It's the quiet joy of being present in a simple moment, like sharing an ice cream with someone you love more than words can say. It's not the absence of storms, but learning to dance in the rain. It's the collection of all these tiny, glowing moments that, when threaded together, create a life that is rich and meaningful. I looked down at my grandson, who was now patiently waiting, his ice cream starting to melt down the cone. He hadn't rushed me, he just sat there, present with me in my silence. And in his patient gaze, I found my answer. It wasn't the big, booming yes I thought I was supposed to give. It was something more honest, more real. I finally smiled, and I could feel it coming from a deep, genuine place. I squeezed his hand and said, "Yes, buddy. Right now, sitting here with you, I am very, very happy." He gave me a huge, sticky, chocolate-covered smile and said, "Me too, Grandpa. Me too." And in that moment, I knew it was the truest thing I had ever said. The adventure wasn't the park or the museum. The adventure was this exact moment. Happiness wasn't a question that needed a complicated answer. It was a feeling to be shared. And that simple realization, thanks to my grandson, was the greatest gift of all. Thanks for watching.